Hey guys, what is going on? I thought I would have a little bit of fun today, seeing how it's the happy Halloween season. And I decided I was going to rank my favorite top 10 horror villains, or boogeymen, if you will. So let's get right into it. So first I'll talk about the honorable mentions. So there's several that I had trouble with. I wasn't sure where to go with number 10 because there were so many, as you know. There's so many out there that are so great, right? Well, the honorable mentions that I put in here that just missed the top 10 are, in no particular order, Candyman, okay? Norman Bates, the one and only. I know, how did he not make my top 10? I know, these are just my personal opinion, just for fun, whatever. It doesn't mean that's the way it should be. It's just the ones I enjoy watching the most on the big screen. So that's Candyman, Norman Bates, Jigsaw. That was a tough one too. He almost made it. I thought there's enough films there, and he's a big deal. I feel like, man, it's tough. I also wanted to mention Samara from The Ring. She's pretty creepy, and she has come back multiple times, because this is more of something that, killers that have, had more than one kick at the can kind of thing, not just single films. So there are some cool ones like that, but I kind of left those out. So again, that's Samara, and I also wanted to mention Annabelle, of course. So quite a few films there too. She's ultra creepy. Annabelle, definitely honorable mention. So Samara, Annabelle, Norman Bates, Jigsaw, and Candyman. Those are the ones that I felt were really high up there, and they were all floating around the top, and I just couldn't pick one. But ultimately, number 10, I went with the one and only Pinhead. Okay, so Pinhead, just out of sheer respect of how long he's been around for and how well known of a character he is. And Doug Bradley, awesome guy. I never got to meet him, but I've seen plenty of interviews with him. He's just, and heard nothing but good things, So, I'd love to get a chance to meet that guy. But he's definitely in the top 10. Had to include him. He's huge. He's been around forever, So he gets a number 10 spot. Number 9 spot I gave to my man, the Tall Man. Okay, he does not get nearly enough love from the Phantasm series. I always thought he was really creepy and scary when I was younger, I just feel he's a guy who doesn't get enough love, but I found him to be a great character, and an excellent villain, and scary and odd, all the things that I like to see out of a good horror villain. Moving on to number 8. This one, slightly newer in the last 20 years or so, is the Creeper from the Jeepers Creepers franchise. I think he is just an awesome villain. Honestly, he could even be higher up the list too. It's just there's a lot of powerhouses in here, of course, and I definitely think he belongs in the top 10 for sure. I gave him the number 8 spot on my list, but definitely a very cool villain. So I got him in the number 8 spot. Number 7. Now this is one I flipped back and forth with a little bit, mainly because of, popularity lately and whatnot. But ultimately, I am going with Pennywise the Clown from It. Okay, so Pennywise got really popular after that the movie came out. I mean, I liked it, the 1990 TV miniseries that was on. That's a good movie on its own. Like, I enjoy it. I thought the ending's a little odd. The whole, like, I agree with Tim Curry. I thought the spider ending was rather ridiculous and silly, but still really good. I love it. I love Tim Curry as Pennywise. He's wonderfully, naturally creepy and scary. He did a great job. The movie's fantastic as well, but I mean, Pennywise is such a well-known character now. He's everywhere you look, right? Ever since those movies came out, I think it was 2017, Chapter 1. But he's been really popular, so he moved way up the list. But I've been flipping him back and forth a lot with the guy I gave number 6 to, and that is the one and only Chucky from Child's Play. I had to give Chuck some high numbers. He's had a lot of sequels. He's been a big deal, and now he's got his own TV show and series. So he's pretty popular again. You know what I mean? I was never huge on the Child's Play series. I liked the first two. The third one I remember being lukewarm on, and I never even saw the other ones. The whole Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky and all that stuff. I never went there. By the third one, I was going, I think I'm done. Like for now, you know, I'm not saying I wouldn't watch it again. I just mean it goes on a list of a bunch of things, and I never seem to get down the damn list. But it's on there. I'll check those out one day. But number 6 I have is Chucky. Okay, so we get into the top 5, and these are all the heavyweights. You know, these are the monsters. Okay, this next one is a little bit controversial. Some might disagree, and I'm not, you know, saying this is the only way to do it, but this is just, again, my list. I'm just choosing what I prefer in order of watching. At number 5, I went with the granddaddy of horror, Leatherface. The one and only Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series. Could easily be a top 3 or 4 on anybody's list, for sure. For me, I put him in the number 5 spot because the top 4 I am a little closer with, I guess you could say. You know, they're an even bigger deal to me. But Leatherface gets the number 5 spot. He's been around the longest, you know, and super nostalgic character. In those movies, he didn't necessarily have the whole story based on him as well. Like there was, you know, the whole family, and with a lot of the other mainstream big ones, they're all kind of solo acts. You know what I mean? So I think that might have played a small role as well there. But definitely top 5, Leatherface, nothing but respect, man. Okay, so moving on to number 4. Naturally, I chose Ghostface. Ghostface has become such a popular pop culture icon over all this time since, you know, '96 when it debuted. He's stood the test of time. And now we have a new Scream movie coming out in early 2022, January, and it's great to see how popular he is. But I've always loved the Scream series. I love what Wes brought to it, and Wes Craven, of course, and Kevin Williamson. Yeah, it's a great franchise, and Ghostface is so recognizable. I mean, you see him everywhere as well. You know, like how many of you have seen the orange and pink and green Ghostface masks and stuff, and all the different costumes. You know, here we are. It's 25-year anniversary. And it seems like there's a lot of hype around that movie. I think Scream is going to be quite successful, kind of like Halloween. So it's good to see. But number 4, hands down, is Ghostface. So now, no surprise. Okay, we get to the top 3, and you all know who the big 3 are. The big 3 are the big 3. That's why they're called the big 3, because they've been around a super long time and had a huge impact, all on their own, with their own character. Tons of movies, tons of kills. And it was tough for me to put these guys in order because all of them I kind of appreciate equally, and they're all really near and dear to me in different ways, right? Like I've always said, like everything started for me with Freddy Krueger. Like when I saw the first and second one back to back, it was a sleepover night with my buddy. I was only 10 years old, and you know, we had heard about Freddy, you know, in the school grounds and stuff, because he was pretty popular and he's some killer, and oh, it's a scary movie. And anyway, my buddy had cool parents, and they let him rent kind of whatever he wanted to rent for the most part. So we got lucky in that respect, and we rented the first two, and we watched them both, and that was it. I never looked back. I was like, wow. And Freddy back then was scary. You know, this was before Dream Warriors even existed. So he did it for me. Like after that, I'm making gloves, and I mean they're all out of like paper and cardboard and stuff. But it got me getting creative and wanting to just go further into the whole horror genre. He started it all for me. and he became so big. I feel like he became the biggest for the longest time there in the late 80s. He was such a pop culture icon. It was insane. He was on everything. I mean, they had an Elm Street Group album. Like you could buy the LP, and I have it on cassette tape somewhere. I swear it's at my mother's place. I have to find it someday, but it's really crazy how big of a deal Freddy was. Um, and then of course you look at Michael Myers and Halloween and how impactful that film was. Like what a brilliant film. That's easily my favorite of all those horror movies from these Boogeymen or whatever you want to call them. That movie is just fantastic, and nothing's touching it. Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, is certainly up there. I feel like it's close, but it's not quite there. And then there's the Friday the 13th series. I mean, Jason. How do you not love Jason? That's a franchise where they probably have the biggest library of movies that I enjoy watching over again. Halloween has a good chunk, especially now. And Nightmare on Elm Street has a good chunk, and they have a few that are just really not good. And Halloween, there's quite a few that are not very good either. And yeah, Friday the 13th, there's definitely a few that are not really good, but a lot of them are quite watchable for me. There's only a few that I really didn't like. So it was tough putting them in order, but I feel like right now I got to give the number 3 spot to Freddy Krueger. Okay, now mainly that's because this whole new generation doesn't even really know him. You know what I mean? Like he's been so out of the spotlight, and that reboot film that came out, just about 12 years ago now, was so bad. The whole way, the direction they took the story was just bad. It wasn't. You guys know this, so he's out of sight, out of mind, I guess. Like I love and appreciate him. Like I said, everything for me started with Freddy. So he'll always be super special to me in that respect, because that's what brought me in. He was definitely the lure back in, it was 1986. But yeah, so it was tough, but I put him in the number 3 spot for now for that reason. In the number 2 spot, again, this is tough because you're dealing with a couple of heavyweights, but there's one that's kind of happening right now, and there's one that kind of has been stalled a little bit, and that's why I put Jason Voorhees in the number 2 spot, and that's mainly because we've had some lawsuit holdups that have been preventing us from seeing a new movie. However, we have had some really cool fan films coming out, and that's really awesome to see. But we do want to see an actual, like a motion picture, big studio Jason movie again. I think a lot of us do. So that lawsuit is still screwing everything up, even though it's been concluded again. There's the whole rights issue between Victor Miller and Horror Inc. We've gotten into this before. So they're kind of stuck for making a new movie at the moment until they work out some kind of a deal. So that franchise is stuck in neutral, and it really sucks. It's like the video game that came out a few years back in 2017. That was a really good game. It was a lot of fun, and everything just stalled for that because of the lawsuit. There were no updates, and they didn't add on a lot of things they said they were gonna, and then they just had to kind of abandon it. You know what I mean? Anyway, it's just a bummer the way things went. So I'd have to put him in the number 2 spot just because of how cooled off everything is. And I mean, it's been even another year past the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise that Friday the 13th hasn't been coming out with any new movies. However, I did mention those fan films. There's an awful lot of Friday the 13th ones out there, and several are pretty good. And some of them are just downright great. But they are definitely out there. Whereas Nightmare on Elm Street, not so much at all. That's why I was saying there really isn't much buzz for the new generation of horror fans with those. It's only people that have gone back and watched them, and become fans that way. So that's why I had to put, of course, Michael Myers in the number 1 spot, the number 1 Boogeyman. It's fitting, and he's like on top of the world right now. I mean, since that 2018 revival, it really pumped some massive new blood into that franchise, and it's made a lot of money. And with this new Kills movie being so loud and kind of in your face, and pretty good. If you saw my reviews on it, I have a spoiler free and a full blown review that has spoilers in it that we talk about. Um, anyway, I enjoyed that movie a lot. I thought it did really well for that franchise, and he's kind of on top of the world right now. So I gave him the number one spot basically for that reason. But ultimately, I still always hold the big three in the big three spots, okay? And that's always going to be Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers. They all belong on top. So, I mean, whatever order you want, that's definitely what I think anyway. But again, it's just my opinion. These are the guys I like watching on the big screen the most. Those are my top 10 boogeymen for the Halloween season, I guess you could say. But it'll probably change over time, like always. But that's sort of what I was thinking about the other day there. And I thought, I should put together a little list. So let me know what you think, you guys. I don't know. Maybe I missed one. Maybe some of the ones I left out should have been on there, or some of the ones in the like Jigsaw should have been in there. I don't know. There's a lot of good ones, and there's some movies I know I haven't seen yet either. So there could be some other villains out there that are pretty big. But those are my picks. Let me know what you think and what your picks would be in the comments. And I guess we will see you again for the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.